All right, everybody, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit about these indicators. Now, this is different. This one is an entire trading system in one indicator, which is pretty cool. So on Thinkorswim, they have studies, they have strategies, and then they have systems. So if you're looking around for a whole suite of tools, right? Not just one indicator that does one thing, but a collection of indicators that all work together, Thinkorswim's got you covered. The one that we're looking at today is the TMV indicator. We're going to end up doing a couple of videos on this because there's just too much information to cover at one time. And I personally think it needs to be adjusted. The way that it works is okay, it's fine. But if you understand how each one of these indicators work, then with a little bit of coding, we can make it better than the original, much better than the original. So first, to even get to the point where we're talking about making modifications to the original system, we still need to look at the original system. This is a trend, momentum, volatility, and volume. That's why it's called the TMV, trend, momentum, and volatility, TMV. So they got a couple of different things in here. It's using the ADX, it's using a simple moving average, a modified Keltner channel, a volume oscillator, and then it also brings in the CCI. So that's a lot of moving parts. When we read the description here, it gives you some clues about what's going on, but then you have to go look at the code to get a little bit more information about it. So I went ahead and I wrote up some notes. I'm going to bring this over. All right, so I got the TMV indicator here with a couple of notes that I just highlighted some of the more important parts, and then I filled in some of the missing pieces. So as written by Thinkorswim, they're using Keltner channels with the middle line being an SMA of typical price. Now that's important because a lot of indicators use close price, but this one is using tip price. To understand what that means, you got to have some background in indicators or go in and read the code. What they're doing is they're using an average of the high-low close divided by 3. So that's not unheard of. It's just not very common. That changes the way that the indicator works, obviously. So if we just took some random Keltner channel and tried to apply it to the chart and try to rebuild our own version of the TMV, our model wouldn't match this unless we knew to change the model. Okay, so we'll get into why they're using this modified version in a little bit. That's a little deeper down. But they're also using the ADX. Now, interestingly enough, the ADX can do a lot of things. And the only thing that they're using it for is asking whether the ADX is increasing or if it's decreasing. That's all. That's the only thing they use it for. We're definitely going to improve on that. The ADX is how we measure the strength of a trend. So it doesn't tell you the trend is bullish. It doesn't tell you the trend is bearish. It really doesn't even tell you that a market is trending at all. It just looks at what the candles are doing. And if there is a trend, it will measure the strength of that trend. So obviously, if the market's not trending, the ADX is really low because there's nothing to measure. That's simple enough. Then it has a volume oscillator, which is also modified according to Thinkorswim. The only thing they did to modify this is they converted it into a percentage, which is cool because if we're trying to measure something against another product, like if I wanted to compare Apple and Facebook, then I need to use a percentage to keep things fair. Any indicator that we were to use that used only price, that wouldn't be very fair if one market is moving $20 a day and the other one's moving $5 a day. Both of those values could still be 2%. And that's what we need to know is what the percentage values are. And that's what they modified with the volume oscillator. And then they've got the CCI. But with this one, again, they're not using it to its potential at all. Barely anything out of the CCI. They're just checking to see if the CCI is above zero or below zero. It wasn't even designed to be used with the zero line. So that's worthless. We're definitely going to have to change that. I said it has the Keltner, right? Well, it also has an 8-period SMA. So that's random and that's odd. Their Keltner is using a 10 and they added this 8 as well, but they're not using any kind of 2 moving average cross or slow over high or anything like that. They just randomly added this 8-period SMA to see if price is above that or below that. So really, they've got some great tools here. They're just not using them very well. So let's show you what it looks like when we apply the TMV onto a chart. So I got a blank chart here, nothing on it. We just type in TMV, and this is Thinkorswim's original TMV indicator. You can see that it changed the color of my candles, and it applied the Keltner channel, and it also is applying these little dots, which I know probably doesn't show up very well in the Zoom or in the stream, but there you go. Those little dots. Those dots are from the volume oscillator. And then whether or not we're green or gray or red depends on whether or not price is above that 8 SMA and if the ADX is rising. That's the only thing that changes the color of these candles. If the ADX is going up and price is above the 8 EMA or SMA in this case, then you'll get a green candle. That's it. So we're going to do some modifications to this. One of the things we want to do is look at how the label uses language. I took their signals straight from Thinkorswim and I put it into English so that people who wanted to use the indicator as it was built with no changes to it, but needed a way to understand the signals that it was producing, would at least have it written in English so that they would be able to understand it. So let's turn those on. We want to see the ADX and the SMA and no summary with the CCI. So I made this. We can see that we have a rising ADX. We have price above the 8 SMA, and the current conditions are a bullish trend with positive CCI, and all of that continues to the upside. All of those signals are from Thinkorswim's original using their language and their description for what makes a bullish trend or no bullish trend. So if we go back to the education here, it talks about interpreting the signals that we see and when the signals would turn the candle color gray, where it would turn them red, and where it would turn them green. And all of that language is right here. So all I did is took that language and put it into the labels so that if the colors turned gray, you would know why, or if it turned green, or if it turned red, that you would know why, okay? In a nutshell, that's okay. It's not bad. Some of the really great insight that I got out of looking at this study was the tools that they picked and their relationship with each other. In this video, I want to keep it short. I really just want to introduce this indicator the way it was designed and get you comfortable with the signals that it produces as it was originally intended to be used. And the reason I want to do that is because it's not bad in the big picture. You could just apply that and you'd be okay. It's not bad, but we can do so much more with it. One of the things that we have to do, and it's what this video series is going to cover, is if you don't know about the CCI, for an example, then we got to do a video on the CCI. If you don't know about the Keltner, we have to do a video on the Keltner, right? Every one of these indicators on their own is a fantastic indicator. Each one of them has a job to do. Their input to this collection of studies is like 4 legs of a chair, right? If you don't have all 4 legs, that chair just won't work. So individually, each of these has something to offer that when combined with the others makes this really great chair. So the video series is going to have to touch on every one of these. First, how the creator wanted that indicator to be used and any special characteristics from that indicator that we need to know when we're trying to read the TMV, collectively how we're going to use it. And then we've got to adjust the TMV because it's not using these indicators to their fullest, right? It's when it comes to the CCI, it's using it completely wrong. When it comes to the ADX, it's only using one small part of what makes the ADX good. And then that random 8-period SMA is just thrown in there for no reason at all when we've already got the 10. So if we add a different moving average, we could have two moving averages that offer a crossover, offer a distance between them two. Think kind of like a MACD style kind of thing, right? The volume oscillator that they have is measuring two moving averages on volume, just like a MACD would. So you got to consider their volume oscillator maybe paired with a MACD on volume. And then we got to just make some final adjustments, and we would have a much more responsive, more accurate indicator that we could use for scanning the market, right? To get a watch list full of things that have a defined strong trend or things that aren't trending at all yet. That way we can get into some bottom fishing plays or look at things that haven't even turned yet and set alerts on them so that when they do turn, we're already aware and watching. So a lot of opportunities that can come from this. To find it, you just go to Thinkorswim and type in TMV. You'll get the original version. So stay tuned. Look for more videos that match this. It'll be labeled something like TMV, right? Because we're going to have a series of videos in this. I'm thinking at least 5 videos. Each one of those indicators needs their own video, and then we got to wrap them all up together and put a trading strategy out of it. All right. So a number of videos. If you have any questions about this, all right, put them in the comments below. If you want to see more of these videos and don't want to miss it, make sure you like and subscribe. Turn on the bell so you get notified, all that great stuff. I look forward to it. And again, if you have any questions, hit me up.